What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. It's good to be back. Hopefully you had a good Thanksgiving and a good Black Friday, and now we're in Cyber Monday, actually. Well, we'll talk about a few deals. I was looking at GameStop's deals, and there were some good ones on there. One I'm definitely picking up. We're going to go over that soon. But hopefully you had a good Thanksgiving, and you got some stuff you wanted over the weekend. That PlayStation 4 that was like $200 was probably flying off the shelves. So if you're aiming for one of those, hopefully you got it. We have some interesting stuff to go over today, because Smash Bros. Ultimate has leaked online badly. Like, it's everywhere. It leaked. People are copying it. The ROM is out there. It's not good. It's all over the place. No spoilers or anything here, but we're going to go over the events that led up to it, what's taken place, in as vague details as I can. The most you'll probably see is the inside shot of the box shot that actually showed proof that the game is out in the wild right now. And as always, guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure to hit the like button. It does help out a lot with YouTube. We're going to start right away with some quick news. We're going to start with Cyber Monday deals, because GameStop is having a few that are pretty interesting. They're doing buy two, get one on their retro games. So if you go on their website, I guess you can pick out like 3 of their more expensive $50 games for like Nintendo 64, PS1, or whatnot, and one of them will be free. The game that I was really looking at that looked really interesting to me was Hitman 2 is actually going to be $30. That's not bad, and it might be bad because that could mean that sales aren't very good considering it just came out recently. So that's a little surprising there, but I'll be picking that one up. Call of Duty Black Ops 4 is $38. Fallout 76, we talked about this before. It's $40 though. Assassin's Creed Odyssey at $27. And then things like Shadow of the Tomb Raider is $27. So not too bad there, but I think I'm going to go with Hitman 2. That one looks to be the most interesting to me at that price point. It's compelling. I was thinking about buying it, but it dropped in price probably because it didn't sell the best. Now let's move on to the trademarks, because there are a lot of them. One probably will lead to something. We're going to talk about that in a second, but let's go over some of the ones that might not lead to anything, and they seriously might just be for things like Snake's inclusion in Smash, for example. Konami put a bunch of trademarks out that were things like Metal Gear and Metal Gear Solid. Of course, we want to believe that something like Metal Gear Solid could be getting a remake, sure, or maybe one of the regular Metal Gears, the original ones, but more than likely, this is pretty straightforward. It seems to be in Europe only, along with the other one we'll talk about. So I think this is more than likely because of Snake's inclusion in Smash. They just got to make sure the trademarks are up to code and everything. I would like to believe that they're just getting everything set up for, like I said, a remake, like how they did Twin Snakes kind of on the GameCube, but maybe they'll redo it again and make it look really good with something like an Unreal Engine 4, who knows, but most likely that's not the case. The other one was that Square Enix actually did a trademark for Parasite Eve, specifically the first one. Again, in Europe, that one's a bit more interesting because, well, the PlayStation 1 Classic that actually has Parasite Eve is in Japan, not in Europe that I've seen, so that could be just to cover their bases with the trademark, because maybe they're selling it, I guess, on the PlayStation Store somewhere, but I would like to, again, think that could mean that they are looking back into the series, and maybe they want to either do a remaster or remake, or maybe continue the series, but kind of cool to see trademarks when you see your favorite games kind of popping up there from the old days, because you always cross your fingers and hope that something's actually being remade, but probably just false hope. The other one that was filed was Alien Blackout, and it looks like we could be getting a reveal for a new Alien game at the Game Awards, as we've seen interaction with really the Video Game Award Twitter handle with Alien merchandise. So it's very possible it's happening, and the filing that was spotted was by 20th Century Fox, and it seems to lead and point to their social media account for Fox Next, which is their icon, which tells us that since that's their video game studio, that they're creating games, most likely a new Alien game is coming out. We just don't really know what it's going to be like. We just know the name, Alien Blackout, and most likely the trademark became public right at the end of November 22nd, so a few days ago. And this most likely means they're setting for a reveal. Makes sense for the Game Awards. And I would like to see what it is. Isolation was kind of a cool take on Alien. It was different. You actually felt helpless in the situation, so it was fun. It was actually a very good horror-style game. Had a good time with it, but Alien Blackout, could that be something like Isolation, or could that be more action-y like Alien Colonial Marines? Oh, and as spotted by DualShockers, Agent has been abandoned. The trademark's gone. It's abandoned. It seems like Rockstar is not doing anything else with that title, that name, or the game. Remember, originally we found out about this game forever ago. I think like almost, was it 8 years ago? It might have been even a decade ago when we really heard about it, and we saw assets and some screenshots here and there, but it was never actually put out there in gameplay form. It looks like we probably will never see anything with it, as Take-Two has now abandoned the trademark, which means that's pretty much the end of Agent. Okay, some of the quick news out of the way. Let's get right into the Smash Brothers leaks. See, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate has been obviously very popular leading up to its release, which is in a couple weeks now. It's coming up pretty soon, December 7th, so people are getting really excited. And of course, that means it's also making its way out to warehouses and distribution centers to then go out to stores. The weird thing about this story is I don't think stores have this game yet, so I feel like while the word is it was a broken street date, I wonder if it actually came from a warehouse or a distribution center. Well, we found out that someone does indeed have the box and the game, and you're actually seeing a tweet here that was put out, and that is visual evidence, and it was confirmed later that that is the actual game that was leaked. Somehow it got into the hands of a consumer. The inside of the box art looks kind of cool, has all the characters and ready to fight, which is neat. And of course, the game card itself looks very basic and plain, but I guess that's not as important. This was leaked onto 4chan, and then, wouldn't you know it, not much longer later, the ROM was also leaked to the internet, which means if you have a hacked Switch, technically, you could be playing the game. If you can find the correct ROM, I'm going to tell you this, with what we've seen with Pokemon Let's Go, well, it could be a brick ROM, so which means it could break your Switch. So keep that in mind too, if you're someone who goes out there. People are already downloading it. The other day, I turn on YouTube, and there's like 4 videos of people streaming, and then people posted the soundtrack. Yeah, the entire soundtrack is online. It's a lot of music, by the way. They told us it was over 900 tracks. It's a lot of music, and some of it sounds pretty cool. So I checked out some of the soundtracks, and then people were streaming. I checked out some of the streams, and people were asking me on Twitter, well, what could they spoil? We know like everything about this game. Strangely enough, they kept a lot of it hidden. There was a lot of stuff in this game that was kept for a surprise. For example, what bosses do we know about? Not many, but there are some interesting ones. There's one in particular I saw and said, oh, well, that's how they got that into the game. Okay. And then, of course, there is the classic mode. There's World of Light. There are a ton of spirits, by the way, that we have not seen, and some of them, again, were spoiled on these streams. So if you're going to be out there on YouTube, just know this. There are an obscene amount of leaks out there. A lot of people have this game before press, or anyone else really at this point. So right now, hackers are playing the game because it was a broken street date. It was dumped to the internet, and now all these people are playing it before press, critics, anyone else. So that's kind of where we are right now. And Nintendo knows about this because they were definitely copyright striking and just striking any channel that was putting up footage, that was putting up gameplay, that was putting up streams. Those things were going down after a bit. One stream for about 2 hours, then they got cut down. So I'm thinking Nintendo's out there copyright striking stuff. And it's not unusual for this to happen when it comes to games coming out early and footage going up before things like embargo. There's no embargo yet because they haven't even probably set one to any press since the game's not even out there yet. But things like Spider-Man, when that came out early and people got a copy and they started putting stuff up, that was getting struck down by Insomniac as well because they didn't want people to stream it. So you strike the channel, they cannot stream anymore, at least for like 3 months or something. We dealt with that at E3 with Ubisoft. Thanks, Ubisoft. But they fixed it. But it's an interesting situation. It's kind of annoying. It's kind of frustrating, especially if you're someone who's going to just buy the game when it comes out, knowing that, well, there's a good chance stuff's going to get spoiled for you. And it all comes down to, seemingly, one broken release date / this copy is going to go ahead and just fall off the back of our truck and I'm going to come pick it up later type of deal. It's a shame, but that's where we are right now. I don't know if Nintendo's going to be able to do much else to kind of stop a lot of these leaks. You're just going to have to be careful. Mute some words on Twitter, I guess, or just stay off of a lot of the internet and watch that on YouTube because I'm sure even thumbnails will probably ruin some of these leaks for you. So here's hoping you can keep the blinders on until December 7th. Next up, let's talk about Skyward Sword HD for the Nintendo Switch. Because for a while there, we would kind of say, it'd be cool if Skyward Sword would like show up on the Switch with just standard button controls, as we assume you'd need in handheld mode. I don't know how you would take the Joy-Con controllers off and then float the Switch in the air and play when you're in handheld mode. Most likely they'd have to transition it over so it has button controls and then probably motion controls as well as an option. I think that's your best bet there. So we kind of said, it'd be cool if they did that. Maybe they'll bring Wind Waker. It's another thing to hear the person in charge of Zelda actually say, oh yeah, you guys want Skyward Sword, right? Well, okay, we hear you. The Zelda concert took place in Osaka, and Aonuma himself asked the crowd there, I know what you're waiting for, Skyward Sword for Switch, right? And at that point, everyone breaks their phone out. Oh, Aonuma just said Skyward Sword for Switch. And to a degree, I look at this and I say, okay, yeah, Skyward Sword moving over to the Switch makes sense if they can make it work, considering that game came out on the Wii and really underperformed on a system that had 100 million install base, and it barely got to 4 million units sold. That doesn't make any sense. The Switch, the audience there loves Zelda. I mean, Breath of the Wild is a 10 million unit seller already. I feel like if Skyward Sword showed up, I think a lot of people who missed it would probably jump in and try it out and probably enjoy it. You know what's really interesting is, at GDC 2017, the team there actually shared images of them playing around with things like Skyward Sword, for example, HD. Could they make that happen? They also showed things like Wind Waker, which was kind of interesting. But I saw that and I said, oh yeah, Skyward Sword, they did that GDC 2017. There was a lot of talks about it online. It was like a little panel they did where Nintendo will tell you about all kinds of cool things they try to do when building up to it, like how they made kind of that top-down 2D style Breath of the Wild to get some of the physics and stuff right. Yeah, they had been playing around with Skyward Sword back in like probably 2016 at that point. So would it be weird if Skyward Sword showed up, Skyward Sword HD showed up in 2019 for the Switch, HD, cleaned up, remastered, looking pretty good on the Switch at that point. A Wii game coming over to the Switch, we would assume, would look pretty good, 1080p and everything with button controls, because I think that would sell extremely well and would probably just help to add on to Skyward Sword and what they sold with the Wii. So if he's saying, I mean, Aonuma said it, right? He's the one saying it. So if he's saying it, yeah, okay, let's do this. In our last bit of news, let's take a look at some quick findings from Adobe with Black Friday. So they track a lot of e-commerce stuff. They track generally transactions that take place from 80 of the 100 or so stores that generally do big business on Black Friday. And they kind of ranked some of the top games that sold and items. Here's actually a quick list of the top 5. And I think the 2 games that are in there make a ton of sense based on their sales history when they came out and their pricing. So as you see at the top, laptops, shocking, right? That makes sense. I don't know what LOL Surprise or Fingerlings are. I believe Fingerlings is probably something that some of the younger kids play with. It sounds odd, but sure, why not? Number 4, Let's Go Pikachu / Eevee, and the number 5, God of War. Remember, Let's Go Pikachu / Eevee came out recently, and it's been very popular. God of War was $17 at one point with GameStop, and you could technically buy on there. Other places it was pretty cheap as well. Most places had God of War for $25 or less. A lot of them had it at $20. The $17 GameStop thing was like a doorbuster online as well. So it makes sense why God of War would be there, and Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, of course, being there because it's Pokemon. It just came out, and it's already popular without Black Friday. Black Friday probably just tacked on top of it because people bought a Switch, and they got Let's Go. Laptops make sense, and the other 2, well, sure, we'll go with that. But God of War at number 5, and then Pokemon is pretty awesome to see that just in general. I mean, that's just the transactions. It just shows how strong video games are. 2 games that are just their SKUs just pop up. It's not even just like PS4 games or Switch games. No, God of War and Pokemon Let's Go. So pretty cool to see. We'll find out more sales figures on Pokemon if they decide to tell us anything further than 3 million. Like, if it hits, let's just pretend for a second. If we find out through Christmas that it hits 10 million units sold, they're going to tell us about that in like the 1st or 2nd week of January, ahead of their big briefing with investors. So you never know. It'll be very interesting to hear about that if that does happen. Otherwise, we'll see raw numbers at the end of January. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit the like button. It does help out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about today, whether it is the Smash Bros leaks. Let me know how you're gonna figure that out and get around that, because it sounds like people are just throwing leaks everywhere, whether it's end bosses, spirits, the paths to unlock characters, the whole thing. World of Light, it's out there. So yeah, be careful. That soundtrack is pretty good. It's very good. So look forward to that too. And then of course, let me know what you think about Skyward Sword showing up. Is that a possibility? I mean, Aonuma said it, so maybe that's something they're just playing around with and working on. Would you like to see Skyward Sword get a second chance at the whole thing with the release on the Switch? Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.